We've already seen the production-ready Kia Sonet in detail, but what was left was the drive experience. And now we finally have the car with us for a whole day, and we're going to tell you what it's all about. Frankly, I was blown away by the Sonet concept which was shown at the Auto Expo. But after looking at the concept, the production version looks like it's been watered down a little too much, and I expected Kia to be a little bolder. Even if I managed to remove the concept image from my head, the Sonet still comes across as a good-looking SUV. The front, as you can see, is dominated by this signature tiger nose grille, and it's flanked by heart-shaped LED DRLs and these crown jewel LED headlamps. Now at the front, you also get this turbo-shaped detail on the front air dam, which looks really cool. The mandatory front skid plate is also present, giving the face an aggressive look. Now moving to the side, you get this thin cladding that runs across the car, and what I really like is that it's not overly done. You also get these muscular wheel arches that cover the 16-inch crystal cut alloy wheels really well. What you can also notice is that the color of the roof extends down to the A-pillar, giving it that sporty touch. Now moving to the back, the Sonet gets a very unique C-pillar design, and it also gets a wraparound rear windscreen. Now moving to the rear, the design is a little too subtle compared to the standards set at the front. However, adding a little drama, these heartbeat LED tail lamps. Also, you get a very busy bumper design with a few diffuser elements and a 4 exhaust design. Overall, the Sonet's design is something that will be liked by all and hated by none. But I just wish it had more elements from the concept to stand out. On the inside, you're welcomed by what Kia calls the kinetic art lounge experience. Now, we don't know what that means, but what we can tell you is that this is a really nice place to be in. The interior colors vary depending on the variant, and what we're driving here is the GT line, which gets all black interiors with a hint of red. Now talking about the seats, they're generous and offer plenty of support. Even the view, it's fantastic, and it's one of the few cars where you can see right till the end of the bonnet. Now coming to the rear bench, it's not really as generous. Now it's not like it's cramped or your knees run into the front seats, but the space is just about adequate. Even seating 3 people abreast will be a bit of a squeeze, and the Sonet at best is a comfortable 4-seater. Boot space, however, is one of the Sonet's fortes, and at 392 litres is one of the best in its segment. Talking about the features, the big attraction here is the massive 10.25-inch screen similar to the Seltos. It's one massive housing that includes the speedometer console as well. The dashboard is well laid out, but is a busy design. Another cool design touch are the vertical aircon vents, which I might add are very effective as well. Apart from the barrage of connectivity options, it also gets Bluetooth multi-connection, where 2 devices can be connected to the head unit at the same time. Taking care of audiophiles is the banging 7-speaker Bose audio system, which is brilliant. The Sonet also gets a barrage of other interesting features. You get a sunroof, wireless phone charging with cooling function, front ventilated seats, smart air purifier with virus protection, yes, you heard that right, perfume dispenser with 3 fragrances, UO connected car technology with 57 features and more. The Sonet also gets voice commands. Now while that's a fairly common feature, in the Sonet it does a little more. Hello Kia.
How can I help you?
Roll driver windows down.
Opening the driver's window.
Pretty neat, eh? Safety has been covered well in the Sonet too. You get 6 airbags, vehicle stability management, ESC and ABS. It also gets an emergency stop signal where the brake lights blink rapidly under hard braking. The Sonet gets a long list of engine and powertrain options to choose from. So you get a 1-litre turbo, you get a 1.2-litre naturally aspirated petrol, you get a 1.5-litre diesel with fixed geometry turbo, a 1.5-litre diesel with variable geometry turbo. What we're driving here is the 1-litre turbo with a 6-speed iMT transmission, and this engine pushes out 120 bhp and a very healthy 172 Newton meters of torque. Right off the bat, the engine feels refined and feels plenty energetic too. Part throttle is all you need to dispatch slow-moving traffic. But should you want to hurry things up, the turbo dishes out enough poke about 2000 rpm. You can feel the shove as the turbo spools up, and you just need to ride that wave of torque. Now this engine does not like to be revved too much, and when you do, the 3-cylinder thrum does come into the picture. Instead, one just needs to upshift early and let that torque do all the work. Mid-range in the Sonet is brilliant, and that makes driving it an effortless affair. You also get drive and traction modes, which are reserved for the automatic variants only. Now coming to the iMT gearbox, this is basically a manual transmission but minus the clutch pedal. So you shift just like you do in a manual, but there is no clutch to depress. Shift action is positive, and the best way to use the iMT is to get off the gas while shifting, which makes the shift action a little smoother. And should you forget that you're driving a manual and end up being in the wrong gear, you get enough beeping to remind you to shift. Overall, the iMT technology is a revelation for those who want a manual but don't want the pains associated with it. According to Kia, this engine gearbox combo is fuel efficient as well, with an ARAI rating of 18.2 kilometers per litre. Now talking about the ride and handling, the Sonet is aimed at the younger generation and for those who like to drive. And to make it exciting to drive, the suspension is set up slightly on the stiffer side. Even the smaller bumps can be felt, and there is always an underlying stiffness about it. But even then, with 205 mm of ground clearance and 60 profile tires, you don't really need to slow down for the bad sections, and the Sonet will happily thunder through. The steering feels good too, and it's got enough weight to impose confidence at high speeds, and at the same time, it also makes it easy to chuck the Sonet into gaps in the city. Overall, the Sonet might be a little stiffly sprung, but it makes up for it with an entertaining drive. We think that the Sonet is an excellent product, offering everything that a buyer could ask for in this segment and more. Apart from a multitude of features, it also gets a long list of engine and gearbox options, which means there is a Sonet for every buyer. We think prices for the Sonet will start at around 6.7 lakhs, and the top end model will breach the 12 lakh barrier. And if so, we think this is another winner from Kia Motors.